Okay, so good morning, everybody. This is a Father's Day special recording, and I found this very interesting Old Father's Almanac article. I thought I'd read it to you real quick, or read it with you. But I thought it was really interesting, and I just learned how to record my computer screen. I don't know how yet to do computer screen and video. So let's try that. You can watch me play around with this. Interesting. This is an interesting one. So, am I even still recording? That I don't know. Anyway, Father's Day was not. I wanted to try to get the camera like up in the corner, so you could see my face while I'm reading this. But anyway, whatever. Father's Day was not immediately accepted when it was proposed, and it did not become a national holiday in the U.S. until 1972 during President Richard Nixon's administration. Why was it a hotly contested debate? Read the forgotten history behind Father's Day. So this Father's Day message is going to be called a call to masculinity, because obviously in our society there's a huge push. I believe it's a push from the top. I don't think it's a grassroots thing. I think that there's a conspiratorial, concerted effort on the part of the elites to feminize feminize men, and frankly to masculinize women, just to mess things up. I think that from a Illuminati / satanic / ruler point of view, just setting aside the conspiratorial, weird, occultic, satanic, Illuminati type things, just from a ruler's point of view, rulers profit from chaos. Rulers' job is made easy when the people's focus is fragmented, is divided, is disturbed. Because if we don't have anything else to worry about, then we can put all of our focus on assessing the job that our rulers are doing. But if we're distressed, if we're confused, if we're in pain, if we're suffering, then we don't have time to worry about the kind of job that they're doing. We're just taking care of ourselves at our own level. And in fact, there's another benefit from a practical point of view. Like I said, setting aside all the weird, occultic, satanic, Illuminati type, secret society, Freemason, whatever type stuff. Setting all that aside and just looking at the practical side from it, it all goes together. I'm not discounting the weird stuff. I'm not discounting that at all. I'm saying that the weird stuff goes together with the practical reality of being a ruler, goes together with all that weird occultic stuff. But on the practical side of things, not only does it make the ruler's jobs easier when we're distracted and fragmented, but they actually profit from it, because when we are suffering and our focus and our presence of mind is fragmented among many urgent interest of self-preservation and whatnot and so forth, then we actually go to the rulers looking for help. And of course, when the rulers help us, what is the next logical thing that they do? They say they need resources. And they get all of their resources from us. That's the definition of what a ruler is. So it gives them, when we have trouble, it gives the rulers the opportunity to take resources from us. So this Father's Day is a call to masculinity. And so I thought in that regard and in that direction of things, I thought that this Farmer's Almanac article was really interesting. So let me read that paragraph again so that my own focus here won't be so fragmented. Father's Day was not immediately accepted when it was proposed, and it did not become a national holiday in the U.S. until 1972 during President Richard Nixon's administration. Why was it a hotly contested debate? Read The Forgotten History Behind Father's Day. With American history, you might think that a holiday first recognizing men would be perfectly acceptable. After all, men dominated American society in the early 20th century. In addition, a quote, Father's Day, unquote, or day that recognizes the roles of fathers in the family is an ancient tradition. In history books, there is mention of a Southern European tradition dating back to 1508. Certainly in modern days, we do not give Father's Day a second thought. It's been almost 50 years since President Richard Nixon's administration declared the third Sunday in June a dedicated day to recognize and honor the role of fathers in society. Father's Day controversy. However, Father's Day was not immediately accepted when it was proposed. Why not? Mother's Day came first, officially recognized in 1914, so men in the early 1900s associated the day with women and found it too effeminate to their liking. So this is where it gets interesting. To be fair, Mother's Day was couched in terms of femininity. In 1914, President Woodrow Wilson called Mother's Day a way to recognize, quote, that tender, gentle army, the mothers of America, unquote. Men viewed it as similar to Mother's Day, which was popular with florists. Fathers didn't have the same sentimental appeal. As one historian writes, they, quote, scoffed at the holiday's sentimental attempts to domesticate manliness with flowers and gift-giving, or they derided the proliferation of such holidays as a commercial gimmick to sell more products, often paid for by the father himself. Also, according to Lawrence R. Samuel, the author of American Fatherhood, A Cultural History, men had a different role in the first half of a century. It was very patriarchal, so they felt that a special day to exalt fatherhood was a rather silly idea when it was mothers who were underappreciated. However, the sentiment changed over time for several reasons. The women behind Father's Day, Grace Golden Clayton. I haven't read this far, so I don't know if this continues to be relevant to what I want to say. But we'll just keep going because I'm enjoying reading this, and maybe I enjoy the sound of my own voice. Who knows? I do like to talk. So, Grace Golden Clayton, one of the women behind Father's Day. The first known Father's Day service occurred in Fairmont, West Virginia on July 5, 1908, after hundreds of men died in the worst mining accident in U.S. history. Grace Golden Clayton, the daughter of a dedicated reverend, proposed a service to honor all fathers, especially those who had died. However, the observance did not become an annual event, and it was not promoted. Very few outside the local area knew about it. Meanwhile, across the entire country, another woman was inspired to honor fathers. Sonora Smart Dodd. In 1909, Sonora Smart Dodd of Spokane, Washington, was inspired by Anna Jarvis and the idea of Mother's Day. Her father was a single parent who raised Sonora and her 5 brothers by himself after his wife Ellen died giving birth to their youngest child in 1998. William Jackson Smart, her father, was a farmer and Civil War veteran as well. While attending a Mother's Day church service in 1909, Sonora, then 27, came up with the idea. Within a few months, Sonora had convinced the Spokane Ministerial Association and the YMCA to set aside a Sunday in June to celebrate fathers. She proposed June 5th, her father's birthday, but the ministers chose the third Sunday in June so that they would have more time after Mother's Day, the second Sunday in May, to prepare their sermons. So it was held on June 19, 1910, when Sonora delivered presents to handicapped fathers. Boys from the YMCA decorated the lapels with fresh-cut roses, red for living with fathers, white for the deceased, and the city's ministers devoted their homilies to fatherhood. Okay, so now it just became now the article is just about how it became a national holiday, which may be interesting as well. Like I said, I didn't read this far. The thing that caught my attention was this part up here, where it said that men weren't attracted to the idea of fatherhood because how does it exactly say it? It did not become okay. it was too, here it is right here. Men in the early 1900s found it to be too effeminate to their liking. So the idea of masculinity, the idea that the aspect or the perspective of the promotion of masculinity that I'd like to emphasize is the idea of selflessness and service. So, in other words, these men did not want to be celebrated. Now, there was a kind of a twist on this later on in the article where it says that society was very patriarchal. So, it seems to be implying that men were celebrated all year long in terms of their, as a result or through their domination of social rites and rituals, and decision-making processes, courts and whatnot, so forth, professional undertakings. So that's a little bit of a twist. Like I said, I didn't read the entire article before I had the idea to make the video and started making the video. So that's kind of a caveat or twist. And in any issue, any issue, I don't think can be entirely summated by a single post, by a single video, by a single conversation. So we have this caveat. Once we begin to dig into this caveat, probably there will be another caveat. So I'm just going to acknowledge that caveat, but stick to my original intention, which is to emphasize and to encourage the idea of masculinity on Father's Day within the context of fathers being selfless servants of the rest of the community. And the other reason I had this idea was because of our Sunday school lesson this morning was about Jesus dying on the cross, and while he was dying on the cross, he was nevertheless still taking care of his mother by putting her in the care of the beloved disciple, which we had our church online, so while the teacher was talking, I was doing research on what the beloved disciple, who the beloved disciple was, because John in the Bible, one of the four Gospels, is the book of John. John never mentions the name of the beloved disciple, or he's also called the disciple whom Jesus loved. So he never mentions the disciple's name. So I guess it's like a hotly contested question. So anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit trail, a little bit of a digression, which there's a lot of interesting stuff down there, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail right now. I'm going to try to stay focused here. But anyway, while Jesus was dying on the cross, he was taking care of his mother. Okay, he was putting her into care. He said, "Mother, John, this is your son." He didn't say the name John, but anyway, "Mother, this is your son." And then he said to his beloved disciple, "This is your mother," even though they weren't actually related. Okay, this guy was whoever this guy was, the disciple whom Jesus loved. They weren't. It wasn't Jesus' actual brother. His actual brothers and sisters weren't there when he was being crucified. So that's what made me think of this. In addition to this article, so this Father's Day, I just want to promote the idea of masculinity. That idea being that God has made us men for a reason and for a purpose, and I believe that one of those purposes is to eschew celebration, at least celebration and recognition, at least maybe, if not to eschew it, then definitely not to go seeking it out, right? Certainly it's polite if somebody wants to celebrate you to receive and accept that celebration and that recognition with gratitude. That's polite. But certainly I don't think that we should be asking for it or be looking for it, and that we should be satisfied to be the men that I think God has called us to be, and that is people who are more interested in serving others and celebrating others and recognizing others than being served, being recognized, and being celebrated ourselves. So that's the end of my Father's Day message, which again is based on this Farmer's Almanac article, which, like I said, doesn't exactly emphasize what I'm emphasizing, and has at least one caveat in it with respect to what I'm saying. But nevertheless, this is one of the inspirations for my Father's Day message. In addition to the story of Christ dying on the cross, which of course itself has caveats which could be discussed from a few different, at a minimum a few, possibly many different angles and perspectives. So it's all very good. It's all very good. And many different angles and perspectives is a very good thing as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, if you watched my video, thank you very much. I appreciate it. God bless you. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And thank you. Have a great day. Bye. Now if I can just figure out how to stop recording this thing. Maybe stop? No? I'm new at this, folks. I apologize. I believe it's recording. Oh, I think it's F9.